All right. This is the part of the story, the part of the movie where I guess you could say I'm going back on my word. But I never really said I was never going to shoot for drone base again. And like I said, if a client mission pops up, take it. And I certainly would. But that's not the case. I did my little experiment with drone base, trying to find out if it was worth it, if it was a reasonable thing to do. And oh, by the way, check this out. This is a authentic button here. California Highway Patrol shirt. Check it out. Bam. It has a little button here for your pen and your glasses. So when you're a cop, you can go like that. I got it at the Goodwill over here. For, I don't know, God, it was $6. $6 I got this thing for. I can't see now. Back to drone base. I never said I was never going to work for drone base again. But something bugs me. Now I know this is drone base is a company that's built around the Phantoms. And the Inspire doesn't fit a lot of the pigeonholes that some of the other drones fit, like the Mavic and the Spark and the Phantom. The Phantom being very usable, easy, and fast. The Mavic being small, quiet, and inconspicuous. The Spark being tiny. The Spark is a very tiny drone. And you know, when you get into this, people notice that. I can't tell you how many times I've drawn a crowd with this thing. I mean, literally drawn a crowd because of this thing. So that is one of the pigeonholes that this thing doesn't fit into. But something keeps bugging me. Why would drone base turn down the jobs? And then I started thinking about the gimbal on the Inspire. The gimbal on the Inspire, what is that? Okay. The gimbal on the Inspire does not center directly under this axis. You can see it's a little offset. So when it's rolling around, it's actually rolling around slightly off center. And here's kind of what I was talking about. With the camera 90 degrees down, the rotation isn't centered. And there's the wobble where it winds the body out to get the other 20 degrees. That's a return to center. I wonder if the Phantom does this. I doubt it. But here is a rotation of the body, and you can see that it's elliptical. It doesn't even come close to centered spin around an axis. Maybe that's why the pictures have been rejected. And I thought I had them beat with the Litchi app doing that manual pano thing, that automatic pano thing, and they still rejected the missions. Now, it could have been that their server rejected the missions for whatever reason. It could have been that I did something wrong and the missions got rejected for some reason. I don't know. But I hate not knowing the answer. So I'm going to find out. There is a spot right here. Right there is 660 Bell Road. It used to be a bank there. But the bank's no longer there. So they need a video. They need a pano of that. I signed up for it, but what I'm going to do this time, instead of having the drone rotate, because with the Litchi, the whole drone rotates. If you do it by hand and do all 12 of your shots, what happens then? And when you do it by hand, but you don't rotate the drone, but you just rotate the camera, what happens then? See, even then, it's a little offset. It's not square behind. It's a little offset. You see that crescent shape up at the top there. And let's see what happens. But I can't, it just bothers me. It just bothers me to no end why they were rejected. And it's Movie Mondays too, by the way. Movie Monday is where I recommend a movie that I've seen. Me being new, I'm coming in from another industry. I've always been a fan of cinema. I probably read half as many books as I watch. But I've always been a fan of cinema, and good cinema. Either really good, Fisher King, or really bad, Sharknado. It cannot be anywhere in the middle. It has to be either over-the-top great or really horrible. But one of the over-the-top great movies I saw was Fisher King. That was an awesome movie, and some of you guys might be a little young. You might not remember it. It starred Robin Williams and the guy from Starman. It's a good story. Not the best special effects, not the best camera work, but a pretty darn good storyline on how psychiatrics were treated, psychiatric cases were treated back in the 80s. Check it out. And as a prelude, I have gotten this camera good and dirty, and we're going to make a video this week about it. So I'm going to set this thing up, and we're going to fly this 660 Bell Avenue and see if we can get it accepted and paid out and see what happens. Maybe it's the farmer, not the tractor. Who knows? I'll be back. Okay, I wanted to film pack and unpack, but phone overheated, so you missed out on that. Packing and unpacking the Inspire is not as bad as everybody says it is. Yes, it takes a little more work, but if you're prepped ahead of time, it's really not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. It's no more or less harder than setting up a DSLR. The only drawback of owning an Inspire 2 is the noise and the crowd that it draws. I only drew like 3 people on this one. Anyways, I reshot it manually, just using the gimbal. Only problem I ran into was if you don't watch the aircraft, it does that spin thing to get the other 30 degrees or 20 degrees of rotation. And I don't know if that affects the final product, the Panos. But it did the 360 spin. I reshot everything without the 360 spin, and I'm going to submit the ones without the 360 spin first, see if they get accepted. And I don't know, I just hate not finishing a job. I said I was going to do 100 Panos, because you got to do something 100 times before you get good at it. And I got 10 in, and they deleted all my work. and that kind of soured the deal there. It queered the deal. And okay, but I still, even without the 100 jobs, I still don't like winning. And I didn't win at this one. This one was a draw. They bumped the missions, I bumped mine. But I still like winning. So I'm going to submit these and see what the problem is, because I just have to know what's wrong. Oh, bugging out. And see what happens. And if that doesn't work, I'll submit the ones with the 360 spin, where the Inspire does that weird spinny thing. It doesn't seem to move off center that much. My subject was still in, there was a white car in the parking lot, and it was still in frame, exactly where it was in frame after the spin and before the spin. So I don't know. If they bump the first 360 that were just manual with the gimbal, manual handheld shots with the gimbal, if they bump those, I'll give them the manual handheld shots with the gimbal that involve the 360 body spin, Inspire 2 body spin. Anyways, that's what I got for today. Love you guys. Be nice to each other, all right? I'll talk to you next time.